Okay, so we are here today with Bethany and Aaron. Does anyone have any idea? I mean, I know you kind of know that we're watching a video, but do you have any idea what video we're watching?
Nope.
Let
No.
me figure out how to get it on the screen. Share screen. This one. Okay, where is it? There it is. Okay, so this video is from June 8th, 2023. Now, I've been trying to find this video for probably 2 months, but I was looking in the wrong folder, and when I was scrolling back on YouTube, it wasn't going back far enough, so I thought I lost it, and I was, like, devastated because I was like, "Oh my god, if I could just show them this video, it would make sense." I found it last night. So, we're gonna watch this, and then I want you each to tell me, do you feel like this is what I've been trying to intentionally show you without explaining it to you directly? So that is the question. Here's the video. It's 3 minutes long.
Okay, so if you watched, I posted a video the other day and I said
Can you hear it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
how because I started to view psychic abilities more of like a higher education, I keep getting presented with these opportunities or these like examples of how to teach stuff. Well, I'm just gonna start coming on and saying them when they happen because if not, I'm gonna forget. Um, so as I was driving, I was just thinking, and I'm parked now, I'm not driving now. As I was driving, I was thinking because in my videos, I've mentioned how music kind of really has been the tarot before tarot cards were in my life. So oftentimes I'll kind of bounce back and forth my thoughts and the music and try to put certain things together. So anyway, that happened, and I came up with this analogy for the third eye, right? Okay, so think of your regular eyeballs as being able to see externally and being able to see internally. Because, I mean, technically, in a way, when you are thinking, you're looking into your brain and figuring out what's in there and then speaking it. So you're seeing it in a way. So think of your regular eyeballs can see externally and internally. And then there's a different choice. There's like, think of when you look internally, there's like this room, okay? And on the room, there's like everything that's in your brain is on the walls of the room. But then there's this little whiteboard that's like on the corner of the room or something. And if you look at that whiteboard, not a whiteboard, a computer. Let's put a computer. That makes more sense. So there's a room, an empty room. There's all the walls have everything written on them, almost like a crime scene investigation thing, like on the walls where you can see everything that's in your brain. But then there's a computer in the room as well. So you can make your eyes, your regular eyes, look externally or internally. When they look internally, you can look around the room and see what's on the walls, aka your brain, or you can figure out the password, which would be Ascension, to activate the computer in the room. And once you can access the computer in the room through being on the Ascension process and activating your abilities, which everybody has, then you can see then you can have your eyes look at the computer in the room, which means you're using the information from your brain, but you can also access that collective consciousness and everything that's in it. So that's kind of visually what you can imagine is happening as you activate your psychic abilities. It's you getting the password to that computer that's in the room that your eyes could see were there. If you wanted to look for it, you could ignore it too, but you can also see that it's there. And then you have to go through the ascension process to figure out the password and put in the password from the ascension process. And that unveiling, seeing beyond the veil, is the veil of the screensaver of the computer that disappears once you put the password in. I don't know. I felt like that visual may help. Hopefully that's understandable. And just as I'm finishing that, it's 11:11. So Have a good day.
So have a good day. Okay, so one at a time, can you tell me if you feel like that has been what I've been trying to intentionally show you how to do without like schooling you saying, do it like this. Like I've been trying to just show you that
Yes.
exists to see if you could pick up on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way like you describe that, I
Oh no, you're
I want to
frozen.
piggyback off that.
Yeah.
It's like with your
Is she
eyes,
frozen for you?
Yeah. I'm
you're
frozen.
taking in information.
Hold on, you're frozen.
Mm.
Now it's not frozen.
Of course I am.
Okay, good.
Sorry, I probably got too excited. So it's like the way you explain it is the way I've been shown it without those words.
Yes,
So
me
it's
too.
like light enters our eyes, but it's infinite data. It's all of the infinite information that already exists. The firewall or the veil is our nervous system. So as it comes in, the subconscious mind is the computer screen you're talking about. So as it's going through our eyes, the filter we're using is the nervous system. It's the veil. If it's in fear, then you're
You can't
filtering through
access
fear.
it.
Yep.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
filtering through fear. So
Yeah.
it's the resonance that's your firewall. And
Yeah.
until you bypass your firewall, right? So that's the conditioning.
Yeah.
You're conditioned to have a firewall. You didn't come here with a firewall. You came here with the blueprint. So you're dismantling your firewall, which is survival, which is how you're conditioned. It's how you continue to stay governed by fear, which perpetuates the cycles. Everything already exists. You just have a limited scope based off of what you're filtering through. Now, when you say computer screen, I take that as subconscious mind. It's the void, it's the darkness, it's the mirror. The light
Yeah.
and the information comes in, it reflects on your computer screen and then gets pushed back out. So then what you perceive is based on your firewall. Is it intact? Or have you returned to your blueprint? Have you gotten back to your factory settings, which is the blueprint? Or are you operating in conditioning and borrowed beliefs, which then perpetuate the illusions of separation? Because you think that you're separated when your firewall is up.
Right.
That's the only way I know how to say that. But yes, 1000% yes. That is what your
This
blueprint is. It is literally dismantling the false firewall or the false code that people were given because your consciousness is downloaded into your body. It's like Ready Player One. It's Ready Player
Yep.
Yeah.
One. Here's your
Yeah.
body. Here's your avatar to go have your human experience. And your consciousness is downloaded at birth. And then you didn't come here with the firewall. You had your blueprint and you're remembering backwards to what it was like when you didn't have the false code or the conditioning that made you think you were separate from God.
Right.
this
Exactly.
actually just happened to me before we got on here. Okay, you guys have both been traveling through a similar situation as me, even though I did not correlate the fact that y'all's situations in y'all's life was a direct mirror to what I was second guessing myself about. I swear to like an hour ago, I received the download. Why would you be being shown it outside of you unless it was something that really was something you were watching unfold in your real life? I thought that thought, but I couldn't receive that download, see through that veil until I had integrated whatever I needed to integrate or healed whatever I needed to heal inside of me in order to receive it at the full capacity that I just received it. Because I've been like, whoa, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
because the way I hear that is if you can ground your faulty programming, dismantle it, you will recognize how every single person in your life is a guide. Everybody's a
Yeah.
guide. and they're
Yeah.
leading you to something. And you'll have people who come in and you're like, why are you here? You know what I mean? Not in a
Yeah.
bad way, but it's like
Yeah.
where you're at in your current situation, someone will come in that has already made it to the other side to show you the version that exists in you in that outcome.
That's what I'm realizing is exactly happening, like, right now. And that's why y'all are in my life. Like, I see it so clearly right now. And it's crazy that this is what we're talking about.
It's actually perfect that you said that because the next video it includes a visual of exactly what we're saying. Hold on, let me bring it up. Nope, that's not it. Add. Nope, that's not it. Add. That's not it. Share screen, visual.
I just literally need you to know this is the exact video that is in trouble right now.
Really?
Wow.
The first card that came out in the video is the veil card. It's literally this.
Makes sense.
100%.
All right, this one is 1 minute and 51 seconds, but it comes with a visual.
I think I thought of a
Oh, hold on. This is from September 27th, 2023.
way to explain how my gifts work. This is not how everyone's gifts work. 'Cause
I have okay, so my particular question after this one is going to be, do you feel like what drew me, drew me into each of you was the fact that I could see that each of your brains was doing something very similar to what I'm about to explain. So that's going to be the question.
because
Okay.
everyone is different, but mine in particular have some visuals. So I have a book, it's called The Blueprint. It's my theory of consciousness. And little secret, I named it that because the way that I channel is what looks to me like a blueprint. It almost looks like one of those like CSI digital screens that kind of comes up in like a 360 view. Because I don't know, those who watch me, if you've noticed, sometimes I kind of like look off into space that way and then I'll like look over there. I'm reading the coding. I'm neurodivergent, so my brain really picks up on patterns and sequences, and it likes to relate everything to something else as like a code, just that I've naturally kind of made up since I was a child because I had to be my own friend. I didn't have very many friends. So I kind of began this whole coding system with myself, I guess, to keep myself entertained as a child. And it has become what the blueprint uses to help me understand messages. So that's how I realized that we all have this blueprint that we're basically going through and mapping it out ourselves so that we can put in all the coding of our own supercomputer to convince ourselves of who we truly are, which is a lot more powerful than they try to make us believe. So thought maybe that would help.
Thought maybe that would help.
I'm literally hearing my dad repeat, and we're all gathered here today.
Yep, I've gathered you all here today.
I don't know if I've ever told you this. One of the first videos I ever saw of you had to do with your blueprint.
Oh,
I
really?
went to Amazon and I bought your $5.99 original blueprint.
The one that I just had Brooke translate from my video, like verbatim.
That is how I was introduced to you. Then you had sent me some stuff, and I'd never told you this either. I didn't know how to use your like whispers deck. I just was super intrigued by it. So I would sit with it and I'm like, this is so much more than the surface level. It was
Yeah.
so much more than that to me. And I'm like, this is a
Yeah.
connecting point to get people to look at something further. And
Yes.
if anybody, I know you guys will know this because you know this about me. I don't read your oracle decks as in crime. I read them as in awakening because I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the starting point to get people to meet people where they are in a
Right.
way that will then lead them to something else. So
Right.
when I pull a
So
card, I'm like, how does
yes.
this relate to what your first video that you just had us watch? That's how my brain has always worked with your decks. Because I will get people who are like, well, that says this. Did you listen? Because I'm saying it
Yeah.
in a way like I'm gonna use embezzlement card. Embezzlement in reverse. To embezzle is to take something in reverse. How are you giving it away?
Right.
Yes, 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 yes,
That's
yes,
how
yes,
I
yes.
got drawn to you because I'm like, there is a depth that is not understood here, and I see you and I get it. And I hope, and at the time, I hope one day I can tell you I see what you see
Yep.
and hear
No.
And
you.
I could tell that each of you saw it, which is why I kept like, I'd be like, okay, the next thing is gonna, I'll see if they take the bite and kind of like figure this out about it and figure that out about it. Because I needed the two of you to rebuild the scene in your mind of the computer thing, which I had thought I lost a video for. I needed you to rebuild that without me ever telling you what you were doing. And then I needed to show you how to access it without you knowing what you were doing so that I could prove that we could then teach people without schooling them or putting us on some
Yes,
up here and them down here. It's like, hey, no, we were there too. Hence the
everybody's
ripple.
at the table.
Right.
Yep, everybody's at the table,
Um,
and that's the thing. People place people on pedestals when nobody has to be placed on one. We're like, we see you as equals, come sit at the table so we can all learn from each other. Don't put us up here. We're all right here.
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, wait, there was
Oh,
one more. Oh, okay. So Bethany, this word will mean something more significant to you, but would you say that through the specific way that the decks and books were designed, that it showed you without direct instruction how to identify your own Morse code? Your dad has entered the chat.
I love it.
Would you say that it's done that? Does
If
that
I was
make sense as to the deeper meaning that you saw behind the decks where you're like, it's something, but I can't figure it out? Would it make sense if I said that I was trying to help you fill in the blanks of recreating your own Morse code to use the computer?
so the long game card.
Exactly that. Exactly that. There was another
When I first pulled that card, I bawled like a baby. I was like, "Is this serious? Is this for real?" And it's just so like, what are the I don't know, what are the chances of all of that? Life is just so cool, man. Life is so cool. Like, what is happening?
which is the perfect into the next video. This one's 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Oh, I keep turning myself off. Share screen. This one is from July 26th, 2023. Okay, hear me out. Take the Bible, right? And minus church and the religions created from it, but just take it on its own, standalone. Pretend that it's a manual, like a manual that you get with your car, separate from any view you have on religion, because religion and church and how all of that is how humans interpreted the Bible. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right. All of these rules, all of this stuff, unless it's from the Bible, it's how man interpreted the Bible. So if you take the Bible as a standalone book, separate from any religious thing, and you look at it in the way that it is essentially God explaining how to get through the obstacle course of life, in which we drop into the human body, go through the crown chakra, third eye chakra, throat chakra. And when we get to the heart chakra, we lock ourselves in there so that we don't have to endure soul level pain in hell, aka the lower chakras. Then we go down to the lower chakras, all the way down to the root ourselves, and then sprout back up. On the way back up, we have to break our own hearts to let ourselves out. And then we can go back up. We have to speak the truth to get through the throat chakra, see things clearly for what they are to get through the third eye chakra, and then make our way back into the pineal gland, which we've always been told is essentially higher consciousness. And then, boom, obstacle course complete. And the Bible is essentially the manual telling us how to get through this using parables and coding and stuff. And then there's also a tool, and it's what people call evil, and it's divination and tarot. And essentially, that is the same coding that helps us understand the energy blueprint and helps us understand the coding and stuff, because we're able to ask questions and get answers with the divination tool theory. Oh, that pineal gland. Oh my God. Okay, so my question for this one is, would it make sense to you if the purpose behind the blueprint was that I was trying to show the template, the simplified template version of what the Bible was trying to explain is the obstacle course?
Yes. Because in the Bible, when you get to Revelations, it's the lifting of each veil. And if
Yeah.
people look at it in the way you're saying it, if you look at it as standalone, you're being given a bunch of stories about people and their experience. And if you want to take it further, you can go see how these things repeat in a code. 40 days and 40 nights, solitude, this, that. I got told a long eons ago, take everybody's name and insert yours. When you read it, take everybody's name and insert yours. You will see the repeating over and over and over again.
It's happening through us. And this is coming from a heavily indoctrinated person. Like in the freaking in the beginning, they eat the apple of good and evil. That's an awakening. That's enlightenment.
Right?
It's the it's the blueprint and
Yeah.
the illusion of separation. We bit,
Yeah.
we fell,
Yeah.
illusion.
Yes. It's all like metaphors to what we're going through now. You read it like a now moment.
It's
Right?
Yes.
the
Yes.
metaphor, but people are reading it literal.
Like
And
it
when you
happened
read
all
it
this time ago.
literal
Yes.
with the
And
conditioning or the false code rooted in fear, you keep the veil on. And then when you get to Revelations, the illusion is that it's ending when it's really the veil's lifting.
that's the revealing of everything that's happening in your life and your reality right now, and it feels like the end of the world. I remember I was going through my awakening. I called people. I was like, the world is ending, because I really felt like it was.
Right.
If
Right.
you try to tell this to somebody, and
Right. They don't believe you. They think you're crazy. And the world's trying to capitalize on that and say, yeah, the world is ending. The world is ending. So that everyone's like, oh, okay, I was right. The world's ending. And they act as if the world's ending, when in reality, it's God proving free will. It's going to get as bad as we
Correct.
let it get, but free will. Free, it's our decision. We're the one. That kind of leads me to my next question. Would you say that the blueprint theory shows that we stay in the bad situation until we use our free will to decide to ascend?
yes, yes, but you have to get to
Yes.
a level of heartbreak where you realize I can't stay here. I
Yes.
can't stay here. I'm
But that's what I was going
smothering.
to say. So it's like when you say it as in like you drop in, right? You download in, and then it's the locked heart, right? So what we see now, this is just my interpretation. It's like living on two different planets, planes. The plane
Yeah.
of the locked heart and the plane of the unlocked heart.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, the 3D and the 5D, that's what it would be. The split in consciousness is not, "Oh, we're gonna go over here to this planet." Like, physically, it's the fact that you can't hear me. What if the Tower of Babel is the fact that it's comprehension?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you can't really hear me, so what's the point in talking to you? I can
Yes.
sit here and tell you all I want, but you can't comprehend what I'm
You
saying.
can't hear me. I always call it the frequency gap.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
here, somebody's here, there's a gap. That's your radio station. They're tuned into this radio station. You were once at this radio station. So then you're like, I understand. I empathize. I can
yeah,
see why you feel that way. They
yeah,
can't turn the dial. That's their veil. Right here
yeah,
is the veil. So
yeah,
they can't hear you because of the static. They can't process the code.
yeah,
It's there should they choose,
yeah,
but you just eventually have to stop talking because you know when you were here, you had to break your heart enough to tune the dial to get up here. But
yeah.
it's all here for everybody. No one is excluded. No one is left out. There is no divide. It's will you choose to tune in to a different radio station that you
And
always
really
had the ability to?
and really, like, at what point in time do you get to a place where it's like, I can't like, I can understand and I can emphasize, but I cannot excuse it because if I broke my heart a million times to get to where I'm at today and see how I see today, you can too.
It's like growth. I'm not willing to be the martyr and
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can
Oh, yeah.
hold
No, no,
space and love
no.
you without sacrificing myself.
Yes, I end up in the streets homeless. Like, literally, my life depends on it. It is that serious. It is
Yes.
that serious. Yes. 1,000%.
And you both just described the next video. Like, literally. Okay, so this one's a little bit longer, but this is the last one. I am gonna clip other videos to the end of this video. There's like a 16-minute one I'm gonna clip, a visual explanation of channeling, but I can just clip that one in the end, and as above, so below explanation. But the last one that I'm having you watch because I want a response to, but you gave the response, you already described it, so I can imagine what the response is gonna be, but this is this is the last one. This is July 20th, 2023. Okay. So with the blueprint, with my theory of consciousness, I talk about how consciousness drops into the body and it has to go down through each of our chakras. And so it goes in to the crown chakra, it plugs in what is essentially a fan, an energy fan, and it allows consciousness to then go through the experiences needed to go through this chakra. What is happening is we are coding our own supercomputer. We are essentially, as we are going through this experience and plugging in this fan, making it spin so our consciousness can go through the gate of that experience, it is setting up a mapping system on the energy body of us. Okay. So we go through this crown chakra on the way down, on the descension process, it's birth. Okay. And then we go to the third eye chakra, turn that on. This is the next step. And as we do that, it starts to create this spider web, almost like filling in all the pixels of a computer screen with information. It's almost like each of these are their own separate room, and you have to go into that room and one by one create the coding needed for you specifically to be able to understand it so that you can reconnect your brain to the higher intelligence that is the source that we are from.
because the higher intelligence, it works like this. It's spider webs. We see 3D. We just see things for what they are, right? And then we can look a little deeper. But higher consciousness immediately connects all the dots in the puzzle in an instant, like Alexa. So as we go down, then we go to the throat chakra, and it continues to essentially create what is our own human blueprint. It is us as a human figuring out how to interpret, understand, utilize, and live in the coding of the programming of our own supercomputer, which is our brain. So as we go through each of these gates, that's why we have to experience them each in order. Because coding is just a line of coding. It just goes, it goes, it goes, it goes. You don't go back and forth, you just go. That's what's happening. We are reprogramming our own supercomputer of a brain so that we can understand that we are higher intelligence. But we can't get all this at once. We have to go step by step. We all have to have the same experience, and it has to be documented as a collective so we can compare and contrast our stories to continue to learn from them even after this stage of evolution is complete. And we go through the rest of the chakras, and as we do this, it's filling in the blueprint. Think of it as a giant energetic spider web. Think of your entire body made of an energy spider web, all these pieces of lightning bolts, okay? You have to, you're blank when you start, right? You're blank. As you go through these, you get the tools needed to figure out what you need to do in the first place, which is what I'm about to tell you. Then to go on the mission of finding these pieces of the puzzle, these electric lines that are going to make up your energy blueprint. Experience, okay, that's good, I put it. Breakup, okay, good, I put it, I learned something. I don't get the job, okay, good, I put it, I learned something. And I am creating a basis for my brain to understand the energy grid. And essentially what happens is there's this holy grail on the other side. There's this promised land on the other side. That is once you are able to complete the programming of your own supercomputer so that you can be with the rest of the human race that will all be submitting their book to the Library of Souls. If you want more detail, watch the other blueprint. I'll put it at the end. The other blueprint video. Everyone will be on the same plane. It would be absolutely awful if you were the only one that missed out just because you didn't complete your blueprint, because time is not an issue. We can just keep reincarnating. Time is not real. They make us believe time is real, so they think that they can keep us busy and preoccupied for our entire duration of it. That's not true. They're going to make it harder to see this truth. Especially now that this video is coming out like this in a direct way. I know this is not me, this is channeled. It's going to start being harder to uncover the truth, but this is it. We keep reincarnating in cycles until our consciousness, our droplet out of the ocean of entirety, makes its way in all the way down through the chakras. And as we do that, we're creating the coding for our blueprint. The coding is then created when we reach the bottom. We then have to test it out because we are the creator of our own universe. And you have to have a theory, test it to prove its accuracy. On the way back up is not the test. I mean, it is tests, but you already went through the lessons. On the way down, it's the world, it is God, it is the universe, it is spirit proving to you what this is. You learn it by down here, because this is rock bottom. So you have the opportunity to learn that there's more to life by the time you get down here. Then you must make the free will decision to say, I'm going to take everything I learn and code it in my computer, and I'm going to climb this staircase that I created for myself out of this energetic blueprint. I'm going to test my theory that I'm able to now that I'm at rock bottom, pick myself back up and ascend out of the current reality into a higher one. Why would you be in a higher one? Because you would have proven to yourself by this point that you were always higher consciousness, but the price to pay to individualize that consciousness into a human form is to forget, so that you can go on the process of remembering, so that each of us have a story to submit to the Library of Souls, so that after this stage of the human evolution, we can move to the next stage, which is looking at all of our stories, which will be documented through your book in the Library of Souls. Again, you're going to have to watch the blueprint for a further explanation of that. And that's when we go into the how do we evolve higher now that we can see everyone's story for exactly what it is and what made you who you are. There was always a bigger plan.
Okay, so my question is, especially with our friendship, that people from the beginning have been like, what's the conspiracy here? Would you would you say that we're as close as we are because we've reflected that truth and we understand that truth? And we have noticed through real life happenings how when we continue to reflect that truth back to one another, it ripples out in a positive way, irregardless of the attempts to stop the ripple.
Yes.
I had to go through a ton of friendships where before that I was allowed to be in this one. Let's say that.
Yeah, I hear
Does that
that.
make sense?
But I think, like, for me, and I know we've all talked about this before, relationships take work, but they shouldn't drain you. Relationships should, I'm just going to say, relationships should be easier than we've been conditioned to believe.
Yeah.
So I think that when certain people, like in this instance, come into your life, you're almost like, what the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
isn't hard. What's, like, it's that old program, like, well, what's the setup?
Yeah. What's the catch?
What's the
Yeah.
catch?
Yeah.
Because for me, we just show up as we are. There is nothing other than showing up as we are. There's
Yeah.
no performance. There's no, I don't worry about, I'm gonna say it, I don't worry like you guys are gonna hurt my feelings or like this or that. Like,
Yeah.
if you tell
Yeah.
me something I need to hear, that's because that's what friends do.
Because people care. When people care, they're going to hold your ass accountable, and you're not
Yep.
going to get so butthurt that it absolutely destroys the friendship. That's what I'm saying. Like, all of us have already been there, done that, got the koozie, got the sweatshirt, got the souvenirs, doing that. And it's like,
Yes.
there's not always people, oh gosh, it's so deep. And to be able to, one of the things that you said when we first all met, Aaron, really stuck out to me. We're not regulating each other's emotions. And that's what it is.
No.
And that's what it is, because that was the core basis of all my friendships before. Oh, I'm coming to vent and that's it. And it's
We were
like,
the
and then whenever
fixers.
I have some, yeah. And then it
We were the
became into,
fixers.
yeah, exactly. And then at what point in time you're like, what am I doing here?
But that's
Right.
it. It's like that's part of what I think we all had to heal for ourselves is we don't have to keep falling on these swords. And whether you're my partner, my friend, my this, my that. I'm not
Yeah.
here to be your parent.
Yeah.
I want to be on an even playing field. I don't have a problem being supportive. I don't have a problem
Yeah.
offering advice if I'm asked.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
difference. I don't
Yeah.
need to save anybody from themselves
Yeah.
because I had to save myself. You had to
Right.
save yourself. You knew nobody was coming to save you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the switch. When you stop
Yeah.
abandoning yourself in everyone else because you don't want people to feel the way you once felt,
Right.
you then let go of that programming that you had to be the martyr or the sacrifice, and then you create space for what actually aligns. Because
And I
you always say
mhm.
it, we are not given what we want, we are given what we are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every single thing that led us to now was
Yeah.
a reflection of what we were, and this is now who we are.
I
Right.
truly believe we all had to heal our abandonment wound before this could happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
But think of
when
it,
I yeah.
that's the rock bottom.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
rock bottom.
Yeah.
If this was to prove your blueprint, it cannot be proven until
Yeah.
you do it. You
Yeah.
can't fake the journey. Like, it's
Right.
Yeah.
that simple. And that is what
Yeah.
is being revealed right now, unpopular opinion. I will say it.
Oh my,
Like,
yeah.
I will say
Yeah.
it. You can't
Absolutely.
spiritually bypass. And right now, people collectively are being shown, whether they accept it or not, it does not matter. That is not anything for me to weigh in on. You are being shown if you've actually done the work or you have spiritually bypassed. It
Yeah.
is that simplistic, because I will say it again, if nobody else will.
Yeah.
If you are always in a need to protect yourself, you are in hypervigilance. If
Yeah.
you have to look over your shoulder and everybody is, and that's the thing, you can acknowledge that there's fuckery in the world. It's just
Yeah.
whatever, right? But like, if you are in a state of hypervigilance and everything you are doing on your spiritual journey is rooted in hypervigilance, you, my friends, are still in the root. You are still in hell, and you are bypassing the entire thing. Because the thing
Yeah.
is, your belief is required to sustain whatever you're experiencing. What happens when you aren't afraid anymore? What happens when you take power back? Because the thing is, you were giving it away through your thoughts, through your reactions, through your triggers, through your this. You did that. But
Mm.
then the bypassing goes, well, they triggered me, but it's your trigger.
Right.
Yeah.
You
That
keep
actually
bringing it.
kind of goes into my next point. So, would you
Every time
say that the little computer that we talked about in the brain, would you how do I word this? Okay, so my theory is that each of us have a very particular thumbprint that we're meant to offer the world. Now, would you say that accessing that little computer is the way that you get your particular piece of purpose? Like, yes, you can use all the stuff on the brain wall, but you need to do the work to access the computer because that's where you get and sustain your purpose, your individual authentic thumbprint.
Yes, because my life force will be drained if I don't stay in it. Does that make sense? Like mine's obviously the abandonment wound, right? Like, and if I keep abandoning myself for others, my energy siphons. My energy siphons. But if I stay on track with what I need to do, just for me, I'm good. I got all this energy. I got all this energy, and I can literally feel it when I'm not doing it. I'll be in bed, straight up. You
So, you
know?
know, your whole like puzzle piece thing, if we correlate it to monitor, you can't see it very good. This is God. This is the big monitor. These are all the little cables, like, you know, when you make a multi-screen, like when you can
Yeah.
have more screens, these are all of our individual screens or our puzzle pieces, and we're already plugged in. This is our connection. It's our birthright. We came here with it.
Right.
When we come in, like Bethany says, you're like heavily rooted in the religious separation.
Yeah.
God is outside of you. Here's your illusion that you're not plugged in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of our little monitors is now how we perceive the world.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are our third eyes that we don't realize are our third eyes connected to the source.
That makes so much sense. Yes. And it's like you have to the first part of life is learning how to gain an ego or get all of those beliefs and get all of those programmings. Then the second part of life is learning how to deconstruct and deprogram. Now, what happens if you just don't, though? You're just on this repeating a freaking hamster wheel for all of time.
Okay, so I
But then
wasn't going to do this video too, but I have a 4-minute video I want to play now because you both just touched on it. This one, I did it again. This one is.
But it's like, before you do it, it's like, this is the blueprint. This
Yeah.
monitor is the blueprint, right?
Right,
So you're saying
right.
it's downloaded in. You just forget because they told you God was outside of you when your connection. So everything that's being downloaded is already here because it's here.
Yeah.
This is your blueprint. This
Exactly.
is what you're
How do I take this back?
dismantling.
You have to forget to remember, and we can't skip over those parts. And I think part of the reason why there's so much of a separation between some of us, between the great vast void, right, is because we're in our process of remembering while they're in their process of forgetting.
Right. And trying to protect the forgetting because remembering feels too uncomfortable.
Yes, 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 yes. And I have to remind myself of that.
All right, this one is August 17th, 2023. So I was thinking about something. Let's say the devil, in my theory, is artificial intelligence source. And it's like this seed that is a little loudspeaker in your body, and it only has the energy that you feed into it. So if you put a lot of negative energy out, it feeds the seed gets real loud, you start to only be able to hear that seed because it's able to scream then and trick you. That's the devil, okay? So here's the thing. If that is the devil, and it basically is part of us that we must recognize is there, dismantle and transmute, which means get out of us in this case, then it would make sense if this devil tried to convince us that it was something that it's not. Like tried to convince us that it was a real live entity that you have to come face to face with and sign some real contract with in order to be aligned with. As opposed to just something within you that its main goal is to stay within you, which means you must feed it energy so that it can be as loud as possible to convince you that that's not what it is. Because once you realize that's what it is, and you realize that all you have to do is understand it so you can take it apart and transmute it and turn it into strength and power and then ascend, it loses all of its power in that case, because once you understand it, that's like half the battle.
Yeah.
So then it would be probably pretty smart if the devil convinced everyone that he was some external being, that unless you met him face to face or did this truly evil stuff, then you weren't aligned with him. When in reality, it's about getting all of that energy out so that you can ascend, because you can't ascend with any piece of that seed. So our job here is to transmute that seed so that we can then ascend. Think of it as you being magnetic, and you're magnetically drawn back to where you came from, so long as this seed is not in you, because it turns off your magnetism. But as soon as it's out of you, zoop, magnetic, right back home, ascension. Just thought. Okay, so my first question there is, do you feel like the magnet that drew us three together was a similar abandonment wound that we were working on transmuting?
1,000%.
It's trust. It's trust. We had to
Yeah.
apply trust, which
Right.
is the wound
Yeah.
of abandonment because you don't trust people because you've been abandoned so much.
Yeah.
So that's the experience. So experience gained will teach you what? You don't have to place your trust in others as long as you trust yourself. If you trust your intuition, if you trust this, if you trust that. So now put that in perspective to what we were just talking about. Every
Yeah.
single person that's been placed into our life up until this point was to teach us what? Trust. Because if you trust yourself, you never have to worry about external betrayal. Just because people do something doesn't make it betrayal. It's betrayal because you betrayed your own trust. You betrayed your own intuition. You stood around and you collected red flags because you needed proof that you weren't wrong. And
Yeah.
everybody now, from all the experience we've had, and I say this because it's like for us in particular,
Yeah.
we've ascended from our own hell, our own rock bottom. So we've been given these opportunities because everything's just an opportunity to me. There is no pass fail, it's just experience.
Yeah.
Do we trust ourselves enough to let people in a way we haven't before because our locked and guarded heart? God, I remember when you gave me this first page. Your locked heart, did you understand the assignment? Your heart is only locked when you don't trust yourself. It
Right.
is the
Yeah.
foundation for everything else because that's your compass. Your knowing, your intuition is your compass. Is it rooted in fear or is it not? And right now, collectively, that is what is happening. People are being shown, I'm just going to say this like, you're talking magnetism. Where have you feared the devil, the lower mind? Where are you in hell right now? And how is your energy feeding it? People right now are collectively being shown how their energy has been harvested to maintain the frequency of fear as a governing thing of their nervous system. That's what they're being shown. And they are
Yeah.
being given real life examples through things right now. I'm using my words wisely. If everybody can just connect those dots. They're showing you how they use fear and harvest it from you. That is the dot people are not connecting because they're stuck in just the information.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's scary to trust that you got it wrong when you were presented with something before. I just like we all know, you have to walk the loop before you find the door and enter the spiral and exit it.
Right.
For those who've done it, you are literally watching something repeat for people to know better, do better, and learn to trust themselves and stop letting the energy that deceived them, so the devil,
Yeah.
wait for the devil to tell them the truth. That is what we're watching, primarily what you just said in that video. You are magnetizing in whatever it is you're consuming.
Oh,
And
and why are we expecting the devil, who is a liar, to tell us the truth?
Right.
I mean, I'm
It's so
sorry, you
funny.
were told. Let's go back to the
Yeah.
beginning of this whole video. The
Yeah.
Bible is a manual.
Yeah.
It's a manual. It told you the devil would deceive you.
Yeah. But you're
And
waiting for
now
closure from the devil.
Right.
you are
Yeah.
asking the energy of deception to tell you the truth, which is a
Yeah.
reflection of not trusting yourself.
Yes.
Full circle.
And like the biggest thing for me right now is learning that my first initial thought was always right. Everything after that, it was gaslighting. It was self-doubt. My biggest lesson here is it is trust. It is trust. It is to overcome self-doubt. It's exactly that.
When the
Would you
world tells
say
you who
that would you say that how do I word this? Okay. So would you say that the blueprint, the entirety of it, which touches on what you both just talked about with self-trust, right?
Mhm.
The purpose of the blueprint is we were going to have to forget to have the human experience. That was the price, right? Forgetting was going to some degree, break our self-trust. So there was always going to need to be a way, or there was always going to need to be a bridge rebuilt of self-trust. So the blueprint shows you that the falling was always part of the plan. It wasn't your capital sin that can't be forgived. It was always part of
Yeah.
the mistake or part of the plan. How low you go is your choice, but the falling was always gonna happen. The rebuilding of self-trust is when you befriend that childhood version of you that was locked in the room.
Yes, to be able to pull a see, the Ace of Cups with the Devil, oh, it's a sweet spot because you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I am grateful." Dharma, that's what it is, Dharma. I'm
Right?
so grateful for that time because if we didn't go through that time, we wouldn't know what we know now, and we wouldn't be here.
Right.
Yes, 1,000%.
And the heart has to break because after it
Yeah,
breaks, you find that that's how you let the light out that was in
yeah,
there.
yeah, and we can't have one without the other. We just can't. There's the yin yang sign, right? It's I love it.
Okay, but take that even further. When you're talking about
Mhm.
the download,
Yeah.
this way, it's your chakras, right?
Right.
Mhm.
This is your sine wave, your frequency wave. It's
Oh,
your
yeah,
spin. It's your
yeah,
descent into the physical where you forget. It's the
yeah,
material world that is meant to convince you of who you are and to get you to betray your trust in your knowing
yes,
Right.
for what the physical world has to offer you.
Right.
yes,
That is your dissension, where
yeah,
people have now defined it as they've confined it. They've tried to
yeah,
confine a sine wave, an infinite spectrum with
mm,
multiple points on it. When you put it this way, it makes sense. When you put it this way, people get confused. So this
mhm.
way, you have hell on one side, heaven on the other. Flip it this way, it's your dissension and your ascension.
Right.
Wow, I've never heard it explained like that. I love that.
That's
I
actually because
love
we
that.
look at
Yeah.
time as linear, right? So if we look at it as we're going from one to the other, it's the same thing flipped.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, and what
And
if
so
that is
it's
a
all
frequency?
existing. You get what I'm
That's
like
a
it's
frequency.
existing at the same time. It's the two
Yeah,
it's I always like planets actually means like planes. So like they're two planes.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
lower, the devil, the lower mind, heaven, God, the higher mind, but they're a
yeah,
sine wave, which means
yeah,
they're the same source in different
yeah,
expressions. So God is being expressed through us. The sine wave is a source of creation. All exists upon the sine wave. But if you have been conditioned to only see sin is this really bad thing, you're down here. You can't move
mm,
because of the way you have limited and labeled something. So rather than going, but God is out here, God is in here. It's your blueprint. It's being expressed through you. And the best way I can tell that to people who can't comprehend that in that manner yet, like you
yeah,
can, the ability to. When you
yeah,
pray, when you pray and you ask for strength and you ask for patience and you ask for courage and you ask for all these things, where do they come from? They
mm,
come through you.
Yeah. Through your
They come
experience.
through
mhm,
you. So
yeah,
the source, the generator is within you. It's the
Right.
big
yeah,
monitor. It's the consciousness that was downloaded. You're pulling on the code to come through you.
Right.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
getting an email in that little computer and choosing whether or not you wanna open it, and then once you open it, choosing whether or not you wanna act on it, like
mhm,
embodying that.
And I
It's
love that.
a
And
decision.
oh, I love the email analogy. It's like when you have your spam firewall set up to block certain things, you're still getting it. It's going into your spam folder. The
Right.
truth is
yeah,
hidden in plain sight because it's information. It wasn't hidden from you.
yeah,
You just cannot perceive it. It is all here in the right now, available to everybody in every given moment.
yeah,
Nobody is left out. No troll left behind. Ever.
yeah.
Ever. No
Yeah.
troll left behind.
No troll left behind.
No troll left behind. But
Troll
that's the
specifically.
free will. And to
Right.
Yeah.
me, I've always been shown it
Yeah.
like you actually already chose. You're just
Yeah.
remembering the choice you made because you're the architect, which means if you believe in coincidence, you haven't figured out you're the architect. When you recognize that coincidences don't exist, you recognize that it was always written and it was just about getting back to this point.
Mhm.
Such as how my car battery died yesterday, and then I literally came on and found the video that I was looking at for to show you for literally months. And last night, I sent both of you a message, the tow guy in the middle of the road with the lights flashing. I literally was standing out there thinking, "Damn, I gotta find that video." And I kid you not, I came in and I would kept looking at the Blueprint playlist on my YouTube, and I couldn't find it. It wasn't in there. It was in the uh, Let's Talk playlist, which I didn't even know was a thing.
But then I find it even funnier because we're joking around about the lights and it like being the purge. So what
Yeah.
but hold on, but
Yeah.
what do you have to do? You have to purge
Right,
Yeah.
right,
by falling
right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
until you let go. Until you let go. That's the thing. You can't control. You have to let go. It's in the let go that the veil lifts each time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually perfect to segue into the videos that I'm gonna attach. So I'm gonna attach 2 videos. I do have another video that we're gonna be doing. This is how much we plan stuff ahead. Do you guys wanna start a monthly podcast for now, and then we'll try to do a weekly one later? We'll start a monthly one?
This was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, like exactly what we're doing here.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
pick a
Oh,
topic,
yeah.
we'll pull some cards if we need to, pull maybe, I don't know, if people are watching this, give suggestions of what you wanna see us talk about.
Yes.
We'll have another podcast to you by March 25th.
I
Yes.
love
Don't
it.
worry, it'll be a
I love it.
surprise, but this is how much we plan stuff. We just started a podcast.
I love it. Yeah.
All right,
Love it.
I'm gonna attach a couple more videos to the end of this one. 2 videos. One of them is the as above, so below. It's like a visual. It's just me talking and a visual. I explain it as Alexa. And then there's another visual explanation one that's 16 minutes. I think it's kind of the same thing that we already talked about, but I'll attach them to the end of the video. I'll put all of Bethany and Aaron's links in the description. We'll see you sometime within the next month for another podcast that we just started here live. It's going to be called Three of Cups something. We'll talk about it. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope that this has explained the conspiracy behind our friendship. We will talk soon.
Stop it.
Hi, friends. So I had a really long drive today because I had to pick up my son from my parents' house. He went and stayed the night there. They live in a different state than me, so I had to go pick him up today. That is going to be actually important to this in a second. And on my drive, on the way there, I picked up, I was listening to an audiobook, and it wasn't about anything related to kind of what I feel like I channeled in, but it was like a catalyst for my thoughts to go in that direction, if that makes sense. So essentially what I put together in my mind is this visual of what it means to get psychic info. And I know that I've given a visual before. This is a totally different one, and I feel like it serves a completely different purpose than the visual that I created before. That the title of that video is like visual example of psychic channeling. This is like same but different, almost like an upgraded visual of that, I guess, that ironically enough uses a stick figure. So not upgrade it in the sense of technology, but upgrade it in the sense of relatability. So the purpose of telling you where it was going is because part of what I put together is about kind of everything coming full circle. You'll see that at the end, and that was the journey that I was on when this was coming to me, was going to the house that I grew up in and then coming back to the house that I live in now. So it was me literally going through that example as this info was kind of coming together for me. So essentially, the visual is using like 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D. We're going to use those dimensional references for this. So 1D would be, and essentially I'm going to explain this, and then I'm going to show you me drawing it on my iPad, but that part's not gonna be my face. It's just gonna be my hand. Because I'm not tech savvy enough to do the split screens yet. Don't know how to do that. So I'm gonna explain it and then I'm gonna show you while explaining it again. So 1D would be just thought, just a blank white screen, okay? But because there is nothing, there is also everything. So everything conscious-wise resides there, okay? 2D would be the computer version, the coding, okay? So not quite reality yet, but the coding. So if you imagine reality as a projection of the blueprint, of a projection of like a programming sequence, 2D then would be what's put into the computer, the programming. So in order to see a tree, and it's much more complicated than the black and white way that we presume it to be, but everything that exists is to help us understand the energetic makeup of everything that we're not able to see. So imagine 2D as this is me typing into the computer 269428973, and because I type that in, I see a tree. That's what it projects into my reality. So the 2D is that programming, that coding. 3D then is what we're able to see with our eyes. It is our reality that we live in. 4D is our reality that we live in, but almost like you're able to then access this computer that allows you to figure out higher consciousness. So imagine a computer, you're in the 3D realm. Imagine yourself as just a stick figure. You're in the 3D realm. 1, you have to find this computer. 2, you have to figure out the access code or the passcode to get access into the computer. And then 3, once you open this computer, it's all in codes and it's in symbols, and what the heck, how does this make sense? In order to get that 4D activated in a way to understand that coding, you relate it to your own life. So your personal references, experiences, examples, connections, things in your life is what gives you the understanding of how to understand that programming in the computer to make sense of those signs and those symbols. So that is the 4D. Then the 5D is when it all just comes together and you don't need the computer anymore. You can just say, I want it this way, and it appears that way because you have become one again with collective consciousness, and you have eliminated the need for the computer because it's once again within you, that highest consciousness. So psychic channeling, or any type of channeling then, would be, so imagine there's a blank screen, blank white screen, that's 1D. 2D is the computer. 3D is you as a stick figure. Psychic channeling is when you as a stick figure get access to that computer, find the computer, get access to the computer, and figure out what the codes and symbols translate to in a way that you can then make sense of it in the 3D. So psychic channeling is you accessing that computer and either 2 things. You looking in from the screen of the computer and saying, oh, I understand this symbol relates to this. This has been a reference for this in my life, so it's a reference to this now. Or you can get skilled in sending your consciousness, which is what I talked about in the other example, sending it into the computer and looking out from a different perspective. So either you can look in, understand, comprehend, or you can kind of send your consciousness in there, look out through the computer, through the symbols, through the analogies, through the references, and put it together that way. Some people do a mix of both. Some people use tools to do this. Some people don't. In essence, it's the same thing. We're sending our consciousness and we're interpreting the symbols, messages, signs, what have you, based off of our own personal references, experiences, and what have you. So I'm going to do a little drawing, but it's pretty much just summing up that last little bit that I said about the stick figure, just so you can kind of have a visual. And then, I don't know, I just feel like I learn better with visuals. It's going to be a very simple, not well-drawn visual, so bear with me. But I felt like, I don't know, I feel like that's a really good example of how to access those things, because you are able to advance your consciousness to see the computer, get the password for the computer, and then put in the work to understand the symbols and the messages, because it translates to each person in your own language, in your own symbolism, in your own, this experience taught me this, I reference this with this. That's different for everyone. And it's because we're learning that program, we're learning that makeup, that blueprint of our own system. You are the universe. This is your version of the universe, just as the next person has their version of the universe. We all coexist in the same, but at the same time, we perceive things differently. Perception creates your reality. What you focus on, where you put your energy, directs what happens in your reality. So looking at it this way, you have something to strive for in terms of, I don't need to do what this person does or that person does. I don't need to understand it in the way that this person does or that person does. I'm learning how to use my own language to understand my own blueprint to get myself through the obstacle course of an energy blueprint that we each need to go through, that I talk about in the blueprint. I'm going to show you the example now. Okay, so to kind of put this in a visual perspective here, 1D would be just the blank screen, nothing there. Then 2D would be essentially a computer program, something that would be hypothetically typed into something that could be referenced similar to a computer, but much more complicated than that. That is the example that we're given to understand what's going on. But 2D would essentially be the numbers or letters or whatever that's typed in to create the projection that you see. 3D then would be the stick figure, and that would be you. So all of this exists, but there's a price to pay to have the human experience, and that it's you must forget so that you can go on the journey of remembering, so that you believe that you're capable of all of this. So for me, that's why it's very important to spread the message that you are able to raise your consciousness, and you are able to get the messages, and you are able to access this dimension, even though we've been temporarily cut off, as the price to pay for the human experience. So then 4D would be you plus, so this we cannot see, okay, because it doesn't become reality to hear. So this is happening in almost like an invisible way, right? So now in the 4D, this becomes visible. This is supposed to be a computer. Doesn't look like that at all. It's not a robot. This is a computer. So essentially 4D is when you in your physical reality find a way to access this in a physical way, or in a way that can be physically seen by your consciousness and then translate it back into this dimension. 5D then would be all of them encompassed together. So essentially it's this, but you don't need the computer because it's within you again. You're able to just directly access that higher consciousness again in the 5D. So when I was saying about how I was going home to the house that I grew up in and coming back and it was full circle, essentially on the way to my parents' house, I was putting together the theory, and then on the way back home, my son was in the car. He was talking for most of the time, but then kind of was quiet for a little bit. And when he was quiet for a little bit, something that he had said, and I don't remember what it was, but made me think of doing this as a stick figure example. And I don't know, I thought that that was kind of an example of what was actually happening, because this is describing what happens in the unseen and how it's produced to the seen and coming full circle. And that's literally what I was doing, was driving to my parents' house. I came up with the unseen format of this, right? And then as I was on the way back to my current house now, which ironically enough is in another state, so another state of consciousness. When I left my parents' house to come back to the other state of consciousness, when I left where I had came from originally to come back, is when I put the physical example together in my mind. So I just thought that that was pretty relevant because it's the literal physical example of this happening as I'm channeling in the information. So I just wanted to share this. I thought it was a good example. Hopefully it kind of helps you, I don't know, see that there's more possible. And I just wanted to add a little Easter egg in here for those who are still watching. So I'm working on right now recording a pretty long video that's reading a document that is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the whole document to you, and then in a later video I'm going to kind of break up the document and pair it with things that I've said in my reading, and then we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go into how to access these states of higher consciousness. We're going to start to pick it apart and see how it works and see how to use it for yourself, because everybody has access to it. We just haven't been taught how to use it, and it's not something special or extra. It's a gift because you were given the opportunity to use your free will to activate it. This is not an unnatural state of consciousness that is being achieved through psychic mediumship. This is our natural state of consciousness that we're returning to. So that's the goal here, is to show you how to do it too. And not that everyone needs to be a psychic, but life becomes a little bit more manageable when you are able to read this coding and use it to your advantage. So that is what we're going to be going into next. The last point that I just wanted to make here is abracadabra, which it means I will create as I speak. And if you look at the word, it is the same spelled forward and backwards. And that's kind of really what I'm pointing towards with the computer, and the programming being able to be kind of read from both directions, or kind of interpret it from a higher consciousness standpoint. It's, I will create as I speak. It's everything coming full circle, literally, even with the spelling of the word. But we will go into this more very soon. Talk to you soon.
Hello, friends. So today we are going to be talking about the saying, as above, so below, and what the heck does that actually mean for you and for your life? How does that relate to your day-to-day? How can you use that for your benefit? And really, what does it mean on an individual, personalized level? So that's what we're going to be going into today. I'm going to have you visualize some things today, and I'm going to put on the screen examples of what your visualization should kind of fall in line with. So up in that top left corner, we have a little Alexa, or a little robot that basically has all the information that exists contained within it. On this screen, we're going to say that on the left is as above, and on the right is so below. So we are hooked up to this clear, ultimate consciousness that harbors all of the information and knowledge that there is to know. We are essentially plugged into it. And in this example, we are going to imagine that our consciousness is what travels through this maze, through this labyrinth, through this obstacle course of life. So we start being one with that Alexa up in the top left corner, one with that consciousness that knows everything and contains all that there is to experience and know. Our consciousness leaves that Alexa and it starts to travel down this cord, and it goes into our brain. And since it's as above, so below, it also goes into our physical experience. And that is what we will be talking about today. So essentially, in this example, our consciousness, the goal of our consciousness is to start up in that Alexa, travel down through the labyrinth in our mind, and as we go through each energy center, we get closer and closer to that white dot in the middle of the head that's on the left side of the screen right now, that's representing as above. What do I mean? I mean that we start externally and we work our way all the way into the core of who we are. Once we get all the way through this labyrinth on the left and make our way into the center of that white dot, it is essentially allowing us to re-access and remember fully everything that we were connected to when we were up top connected to the Alexa. So it is us earning back that full consciousness, earning back what was already within us the whole time, but we had to travel through this maze or through this labyrinth to be able to access it once again. So as we are traversing through this labyrinth, getting closer and closer to the center, it is also mirroring that same reality into our day-to-day, real, physical reality life. So we start at what is the top, is that crown chakra. We descend from the crown chakra. And then we go one by one, making our way through these gates, which are blocked energy centers. We have to ignite them and get them spinning, kind of like one of those doors that's just a spinning door and you go round and round and round. That is what we need to do to our energy centers to be able to move through them and get closer and closer to the center of this labyrinth. So as our consciousness moves through this labyrinth closer to the center, our physical experiences mirror that as well. So we descend starting with that crown chakra, then we have our third eye, then we have our throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, root, and then we go back up on the ascension process. So the ones I just listed were the descension process. And then we go in the ascension process with our root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. And when we get back to the crown on that ascension process, it is very similar to us making our way back to the center on this left-hand side of the screen, making our way back to the center and reconnecting to that higher consciousness, because we've earned our way through the labyrinth by going through all of the energy centers, and we've made our way back to be able to reconnect to all of that information that is available to us. I will be diving into this theory a little bit more in some upcoming videos, but I just wanted to lay the foundation, and I felt like looking at it this way is a very valuable tool to kind of help you understand where you're at on your journey a little bit better and have you have a goal in mind, because you know that you're returning to that higher consciousness. You know that once you return to that higher consciousness, you'll be able to visualize and see paths and doors that were not previously available to you. Also, I did make a previous video explaining what happens in each chakra center. If you would like to look at that, it is the Blueprint First Take on the left, and I will link it in the description. And also my book, The Blueprint, which is available on Amazon, is a written version of this video on the left. So it also goes into what happens in each energy center and how to kind of get through them and move from chapter to chapter. I'll see you soon.